How's it going, YouTube? This is Chris from Aces Jewelry and Loan in West Covina, California. I'm just going to start a little YouTube channel here. We're going to talk to everybody about some things that we do here at the pawn shop, and mostly what we're going to do videos about are California gun transfers, some California gun laws. You know, we watch a lot of YouTube videos, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot out there that deals specifically with just California. So we're going to go over a couple things today that are kind of frequently asked questions that we get here at the pawn shop every day. Mostly what we do here is what we call an interstate gun transfer. You would order something from an online vendor or gunbroker.com. You have to ship it to an FFL to do the paperwork and the background check and the DOJ paperwork, and we do that here for you. So we charge $25 for it. It's not a whole lot of money. Other FFLs can charge whatever they want. So if you need to buy a gun and you want to order it online and have it shipped to us, we'd be more than willing to help you out with it. Again, our cost is $25. The DOJ fees are $19, $6, and $1 for a total of $25. And then we have to collect the sales tax on your invoice too for your purchase. So there are rare occasions where we don't have to collect your sales tax, but we're going to talk about 90% of the time, 95% of the time, we're going to have to collect sales tax. Also, what we're going to go over with today of what you're going to need to bring in to the pawn shop or any FFL to do your paperwork. It's going to cover about what 95% of the population is going to need. There are instances where, you know, what we're going to talk about today may not apply to you, but for most people, this is what you're going to need to bring in to buy a gun. So just to give a little background on us here at the pawn shop, we've been open for almost 4 years. Everybody here has been working here that long and has worked at other pawn shops for longer. I've personally been working in pawn shops since November 2000 was when I started working at a pawn shop in Whittier. Everybody, you know, the managers here, they've got experience on the gun counter. Everybody, you know, does loans and stuff like that too. And we're just going to give you guys a little, you know, quick video here today telling you what you need to bring into the shop. So first thing that we're going to do, the basic questions that we get when everybody calls us is they say, hey, I'm shopping online, you know, Bud's Gun Shop or Palmetto State, you know, Atlantic Firearms, and I want to order a gun. What do I need to do? Well, the first thing you do need to do is you need to buy the gun. Every FFL that you order with online does a little bit differently how they want to process that order. So some of them want to tell you, make sure that your FFL is okay with us shipping the gun in, and we'll go ahead and contact the FFL. Sometimes they want us to email the FFL to them. Sometimes they want it faxed. We've even had rare instances where we had an old-time FFL back east that just wanted it mailed to them. So every gun store is a little different how they do it. But before you do buy that gun, you need to make sure that it is California compliant. So what that means is California has some pretty strange laws when it comes to firearms. What you're gonna need to do if you find something online that's a pistol or a long gun or a shotgun, you need to make sure it complies with California gun laws. Really quick, basically with the handguns, if you're not a police officer in the state of California or have police powers in the state of California, you're not exempt from the roster of certified handguns. And we're going to go ahead and put the link on the YouTube video today, and you can go to that website. If that gun that you want to buy is not specifically listed on that roster, we can't sell you that gun. So there's no exceptions other than if you're an active police officer in the state of California. If you want to go ahead and buy a long gun, you just need to make sure that it doesn't meet any criteria that would call it a California defined assault weapon. We don't like using the terms assault weapons. You know, we call guns what they are. It's not assault weapons just because it's a centerfire semi-automatic rifle. But California, that's what they call them. And you just need to make sure that your gun doesn't meet that criteria. So if you want to buy an AR-15, just make sure that it's not specifically banned by name and that it has a bullet button. What the bullet button is it's an ingenious little tool that goes over your mag release that you are required to now put some kind of tool inside of it to drop your magazine, and therefore it doesn't meet the requirements of having a detachable magazine here in California. So it wouldn't be considered an assault weapon. If you have any questions on that, you can go to CalGuns and check out their flow charts. You can do rifle, handgun, and pistol flow charts to make sure that what you're buying is California compliant. You can search for shotguns too. There's not much that you're going to really run into other than maybe an SBS or an SBR that somebody maybe did at their house or something like that with shotguns. There's not a whole lot out there that you're going to run into for assault shotguns. A couple things that come to mind. There are a few shotguns out there that you will think that are California compliant but really aren't. They're the ones that have like the feeding tubes with the auto selector in them that has the capacity to accept 14 shotgun shells. That's not something that you can have. Pistols, one of the things you may come across is something that's specifically banned by name and you wanted to private party transfer it. I mean, that's like your Uzi. But again, calguns.com, check out the flow charts. It's actually calguns.net. Check out the flow charts. And if you get stuck, give us a call here at the pawn shop. We'll help you out, get you the gun that you want. Back to what you're going to need. Let's just say you've bought your gun online, you've shipped it here. You're going to come in and start your paperwork. What do you have to bring into the store? We're going to need your California ID. We can't sell you a gun unless you're a California resident here in California. So there is an exception for military with active duty that has PCS orders saying that they're going to be stationed in California. That's an exception. But again, we're talking about 98% of the population here for these videos. So California ID or driver's license has to be active. If it doesn't have your current address on it, we're going to have to comply with ATF and DOJ laws. So we're going to need some kind of documentation showing that your new address is your current address. It needs to be some kind of federal government, state issued document showing that you live at your address. So if you live at 123 Elm Street and your ID says First Street, we're going to want something that shows Elm Street that's a government document, like most commonly car registration is used. That's something that works. There's a whole list on the 4473 of stuff that you can bring in that meets federal law. Now, if you're buying a handgun and your ID does have your current address on it, California does require proof of residency. It's not second proof of residency like some gun stores will tell you. It's proof of residency. The difference being California doesn't recognize your ID as being sufficient to prove that you're a resident of the state of California. So a lot of these big gun store retailers will tell you, oh, we need a second proof of residency. And that's just bad information, and it's not exactly what the law says. So you can go on the DOJ's website, and they give you a whole list of stuff that says what documentation is acceptable proof of residency for handgun purchases. You can bring in a utility bill within the last 3 months that bears the individual's name and the individual's current residence on the DROS or the address that appears on their ID or driver's license. You can bring in a residential lease. It doesn't have to be something super formal. It could just be a written agreement between two parties. It doesn't have to be notarized. That was a rule before, but now that's not a big deal. So you can also bring in a property deed. You can bring in any government issued permit, registration, other than California driver's license or ID that has a specific expiration date and period of validity. License or permit or registration must bear the individual's name and the address is declared on the DROS or the address is declared on the ID. Acceptable proof of residency commonly is a current DMV registrations, electric, gas, cable bill with your name on it, signed and dated rental agreement contract. It says notarized here, but I remember seeing something that it didn't have to be notarized. Examples that are not acceptable proof of residency, hunting and fishing licenses. Okay? Those documents are not issued by the government, or a cellular phone bill. Everybody asks, well, can I bring in my bank statement? No, you can't. Can I bring in my car insurance? No, you can't. Okay, that's kind of the typical questions that we see when you're looking to buy a gun. Apart from your proof of residency and your ID, you're going to need an FSC card or a HSC card. The firearm safety card, it's $25. You can get them at any gun store. You can get it here, Turner's, Bass Pro Shop, anybody that sells guns is going to be able to get you an FSC card. They're good for 5 years, and it's needed anytime you buy a handgun or long gun in the state of California. Now, there are exceptions to that. A hunting license is one of them. You can also be a CCW permit holder. There's a whole list of, exceptions to that rule. Active military. If you're unsure, give us a call, or you can search online for the specific exemptions that you have for the FSC requirement. And that's pretty much what we're going to need from you as a gun purchaser when you come in. There are cases where you're going to need a little bit extra documentation or you're going to need something else, but that's about it. So once you get the gun here, the FFL or anybody is going to call you and say, hey, your gun's here, bring in your paperwork, we're going to start your DROs. Then you're going to start your 10-day waiting period. And it's not really a 10-day waiting period, it's 240 hours. It has to be down to the minute. So a lot of misconception about that. People ask all the time, well, does the 10-day waiting period start when my gun gets here? No, your waiting period starts when we hit submit DROs on the state's computer. That's when it starts. There's no exception to that. Okay, so let's say that you've ordered your gun online and you want to come in and start your paperwork to pick up your gun. You've ordered your Ruger 1022 and it showed up at the gun store. You're going to go pick it up. You're going to have a 10-day waiting period, but more specifically, it's a 240-hour waiting period. Everybody has to deal with that, except for in rare instances, if you're a police officer, with the letter from your department asking to waive the waiting period. But most people, like I said, this video is for the 98, 99% of the population that just doesn't really know. We see a lot of questions where people ask, well, does my waiting period start when the gun gets delivered to your store? No, it doesn't. It only starts once we submit your DROs to the state's computer system. That's when your 240 hours starts. After the 240 hours, as long as it's approved by the state, if there's no delay or denial, you can come back in. We're going to need your ID again. We don't need your copy of your DROs, but it's always a good thing to have it if you do. We don't need your store receipt, but it's a good idea if you have it. Now, this is for us. I don't know what other gun stores are going to ask you to bring in. Maybe they want you to bring back your receipt. I'm telling you how we do it. You're not going to need anything but your California ID for us. Go ahead and bring that in. We're going to submit, deliver gun on your computer, have you recertify the 4473, make sure all the information is still correct. You go ahead and take your gun home. And that's how it works in the state of California. So again, that predominantly deals with buying a gun online, bringing it, or shipping it to an FFL, coming in and doing your paperwork and taking your gun home. That's how it's done. So go ahead and like us on YouTube here. Follow us. We're going to go ahead and put the link up for our Facebook and our Instagram pages. Also the shop's phone number. You can give us a call if you guys get stuck or you guys have any kind of questions like that. Hope you guys like these videos. It's something we're going to start doing more on. Stuff like, what is a California assault weapon, bullet button questions, just kind of questions that we get day in and day out. And also we're going to talk about some of the California laws that are in place and how they affect you, and also some of the things like current legislation and what's going on in the state capitol and how it's really going to affect you as a gun owner in the state of California. We're going to also do videos here that aren't specifically gun related, but more on the pawn related side. So I hope you guys like the videos. Go ahead and follow us, like us, share in the comments. If you guys have any questions, we'll try to get back to you guys. But more importantly, if you need something, you want to order a gun from us, give us a call. You guys have a great day. Thanks. Bye.